Hello everybody, my name is Battlesy, and this is going to be my beginner's guide for Warhammer 3. There's going to be timestamps for everything, so let's get to it. So you've just loaded in your first campaign. Let's talk about what's priority to build early on. You can see that I require population surpluses to upgrade my building settlements. And you can see that growth is a direct relation towards getting those surpluses. The more growth, the quicker you get your population surpluses. So one thing I always like to do is I always like to build growth within the infrastructure as soon as possible. Because once I get this unlocked to tier 3, you can see that I can have additional 2 slots and I can put in the defensive structures to make the settlement significantly stronger. So I don't have to have an army hanging around defending it, because the garrison will do exactly that. I can easily defend with the garrison. And you can see that we have options of luxury resources, which will increase money from trade. But the main factor is, the faster I get up to tier 3, 4 and 5, I can unlock myself unbelievable units. You know, you get the higher tier armies, and one thing to keep in mind, I would say a late game army would easily defeat 5 early game armies without even struggling, because you have so much stronger units unlocked in the later stage of the game, and it's best to get there as soon as possible. So let's talk about why diplomacy is amazing, and it should always be used where possible. So diplomacy can definitely make or break certain campaigns depending on how you play it, because if you can get specific military alliances or defensive alliances, you can see that in my main army, let's just go around to Greece's, you can see here, I can actually recruit crane gunners and all sorts of units from Cathay right here. And so it's definitely always worth it. Like you can see this, look, I can recruit an insane amount of things from Cathay because they're my military alliance. So it can really mix up what your army compositions look like, and you can get the best of both worlds. So that's the reason why alliances are very potent nowadays. I'm just so excited to see like greenskins with crazy amounts of armies. But you can especially use, quick deal here. Trade agreements, effectively, you can sign an agreement to effectively trade, as it suggests, and you can make money from each trade agreement. You can see that I'm exporting these goods, and I'm making this amount of money per trade agreement I currently have. You can also see that non-aggression pact effectively defines that, hey, it's an agreement. I'm not going to fight you if you don't fight me. Thumbs up to you. This is how you build up the relationship with them. And then obviously trade agreement, like I mentioned, is to make money. Military access is, okay, I want to step across your lands to go beat up one of my enemies because he's annoying me. Do you mind if I walk on your lands? Is that cool? Otherwise, you'll get diplomacy hits with them, that effectively, which will be trespassing, which will make them hate you quite a lot. And as I discussed earlier, defensive alliances and military alliances, you can recruit units from your allies. And defensive and military alliances, generally speaking, in the harder difficulties, can be really useful because you use the cheats the AI gets, you might as well. And also Confederation, effectively, you absorb the assets of your specific friend, because if they must be, because obviously the chance is there. But keep in mind, the deal is there. You can also, let's speak to the Saber skin. I'm gonna go over here, and can we trade settlements? Could you give me one of your settlements? You can effectively ask for their settlements and trade settlements if you so choose, or you can basically say, can you please declare war on these people? Like, do you know what? I really don't like these. Let's say I really don't like these guys. And they'll say, okay, you need to give me 1,000 to go beat them up. And I'm like, do you know what? Yes, please. These guys are really annoying and I need help fighting them. Diplomacy, as you can see, can really snowball into massive advantages. You've just got to know where to look and how to use it. One thing to note, you can currently see -3 right here for Defensive Alliance. My reliability is currently very high, but if I tank my reliability through any means, like basically getting an agreement with somebody and then cancelling it, so let's do this, let's speak to these guys, let's get this agreement, let's accept, and I'm going to go ahead and end it. You can now see my reliability is low, so let's go back to them and let's see if they're going to want to trade with me. And you can see now it is -9. So having high reliability is very important because you're more likely to get deals at a better rate. So make sure to keep your reliability high or very high because effectively people won't want to trade with you because you're not very reliable. Makes sense, right? Let's talk about controls. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to click on the SAR guard and then hold shift and then click to here to select all of them. To redeploy them, I'm going to hold right click down and drag it across. And then to individually move this formation without moving it, I'm going to hold Alt down and then left click. And you can see that I'm moving this unit without adjusting the formation that they're currently within. If I want to change the angle that they're currently looking at, I can go ahead and select a few of the units that I want to change the angle of, hold Alt and Control, left click, and I can turn them as you can see. To select everybody when the battle is chaotic, you can press Ctrl A, and you can see I've collected everybody. Now you can use these formations down here. I'm going to do melee front, and it's going to make sure my army is in a good standing order. So one thing that's really useful with the Alt key is you can quite literally run towards the enemy by using the Alt key. And then you can set up, so something along the lines of this, move these guys over here, grab all your cavalry, get those guys in the flank, move up your melee units individually, like so, and then get these guys raring to go to flank around. So let's learn how to group. So I'm going to do the same thing, shift click, grab these guys over here. I'm going to press G to group them, and you can lock the formation with Control G as well. And if you see, no matter how I move them, they will always keep the formation. So let's talk about anti-infantry and anti-large. You can see here the SAG Guard Great Weapons have anti-infantry. And they've got bonuses infantry, which means that they will have amplified melee attack and weapon strength versus an infantry target. You can see here that they're a small entity, which means small entities, they would have bonus versus. And you can see here that the Warbear Riders have anti-large, and you can see that they are a large entity right here. So we can see as well that they would have bonus melee attack and weapon strength versus a large entity. So you'd want these guys fighting large entities, and these guys fighting against small entities, as that is what they're most potent at fighting against. The troops are information, so let's learn how melee attack and defense works. To understand this, let's see the formula, which is 35% base plus melee attack minus melee defense. With this, we can use the example on screen of the Tsar Guards. They have 34 melee attack, and we know that the Chaos Warriors have 41 melee defense, meaning we need to start with the 35% base plus the 34 melee attack equals 69, minus 41, which is the melee defense of the Chaos Warriors, which means it is a 28% chance for them to actually hit. Let's talk about armor. Keep in mind, all of the damage reduction is completely RNG between all three options. So let's talk about how it works. On average, there is a 0.75 damage mitigation on base weapon damage per armor point, but on the low end, there's 0.5, and on the high end, it's up to 1. Let's calculate the damage Tsar Guards will do into Chaos Warriors of Khorne. We can see that they have 26 base weapon damage and 10 armor piercing damage. No matter the armor the target has, the armor piercing always goes through, but the armor will affect the base weapon damage. So let's calculate it real quick. We can see the 100 armor of the Chaos Warriors of Khorne, and they have 3 potential hits that the Tsar Guards can do. The 0.5 per armor point, which is 13 base damage, plus 10 armor piercing is 23 damage. The 0.7 per point of armor is 6.5 damage on average, plus the 10 armor piercing for a total of 16.5. And finally, the maximum resistance that they can possibly do is a single point of damage. There always has to be 1 base weapon damage plus armor piercing. Let's talk about resistances. So you can see ward save is effectively resistances of everything. Physical, missiles, magic, spell, all of it is reduced by ward save. And the thing is, it adds on to the current resistances. So you can see here I have 5% physical resistance, which means I would in total have 22% physical resistance coming into battle, up to 90% resistance. That is the cap in the game currently. And you can see that I have missile resistance as well, and ward save is additive to each and every one of these guys. And obviously physical resistance, the difference between it is it will reduce the damage of armor piercing as well, unlike that of armor. So resistances can be really, really useful, and you have a lot of staying power if you have a lot of health to combine with it. So if you can sit there with a lot of HP and you have really good resistances, you can stay in combat and kind of set and forget whatever that unit may be. Hope that helps. So the tech tree can be very confusing because there's a lot of things on there, but what I'm going to do is specifically search for the unit that I want to actually upgrade, and you can be the the deciding factor of, oh, I actually want to upgrade this unit now. Let's start moving towards the tech tree towards that one. But you can see here that this highlights and upgrades Corsairs, and you can see this obviously gives them melee defense, and you can see all of this that is highlighted now will increase the defense. Let's say I want growth instead, because like we discussed earlier, growth is pretty good, and you can get it from here. So this is the, and then obviously through here as well. So the tech tree can be used to search for what you specifically want, but I mean, the main fundamentals of the tech tree is, if you want to do something that sounds cool, by all means, research it. There's a couple of ways you can increase your research rate by various hero actions. A quick one about skills, just real quick. So specifically in this campaign, I've gone Inspiring Presence for the experience, because early game it seems really nice to get that 75 experience per turn. And then Route Marcher, because I can't attack Terracotta Graveyard unless I have Route Marcher specifically within this campaign. So that helps me a bunch there, but with the tech tree going alongside of the skills on top of this, if I'm buffing up the peasants through the tech tree, for example, I can further increase that and amplify the buffs, making that unit extra potent. So you can see you can leverage your skills points to make your units even better with the tech tree, and on top of that one, using skills with alongside of it. Let's talk about specifically sieges. Here's a minor settlement battle, and so what I'm going to do, since I outnumber the enemy here, I'm going to attack them on multiple fronts, meaning I can gain advantages through my numbers by attacking at more than one direction. So let's jump into it and show it. So as I said, we have specifically split up our troops. We've got Group 1 over here putting pressure onto this side. We have Group 2 putting pressure onto here and into the middle if necessary. And the exact same for Group 3, putting pressure onto this point to ensure we can capture this. And then Group 4 is doing the same thing, putting pressure on this side to ensure we can capture this specific location. You can shoot down the towers with range fire or flying units. So usually, generally speaking, what I do is I'll fire into the tower, kill it once, and then try and take the point just to make sure it's permanently killed. And let's demonstrate the fundamentals of attacking multiple angles. As you can see, to execute this one, we're going to move everybody up bit by bit. So you can see the enemy is deployed very, very staggered, and we can take advantages where possible. So, for example, if they've got a range unit, get the cavalry in there, start beating them up. We got magic, we might as well use it specifically as Kislev, and so you can see that I'm going to fire into anything that isn't shielded, gain effectively the most advantages from my units as possible, and just keep slowly chipping away at them. Slowly chip away, slowly chip away, slowly chip away. We're going to start shooting that turret as soon as we can. You can see there's a turret up there as well, but we can't obviously attack that just yet. But what we can do here is set up these guys in a position where we're attacking one each, and they can slowly chip away at them as well. And then we're just going to keep moving up. That tower's dead, so we can kind of like slowly pressure up. We can see they're building another one over here, so we're going to want to try and put pressure to that point there. But this fundamentally is exactly how you play sieges. Slowly chip away at them, take away their advantages, and just keep killing units after units after units. And then once you've gained enough of an advantage, you can then really put pressure and start pushing forward towards the victory points. But you can see here that anything they send into the multiple directions, I have the troops to handle it. And so this is effectively the best way to handle sieges. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourself. This has been my beginner's guide for Warhammer 3. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and like it. And also, I stream on Twitch 3 days a week. Link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.